Talent.
Truth.
Family.
Professionalism.
Definitely ensemble.
Creativity.
Musical.
Joy. Classy.
Characters.
Highly stimulating.
Generous.
Daring.
Challenging.
Faith.
Quality.
Courage. Tenacity.
Perseverance.
Integrity.
Determined.
Passion.
Risk-taking.
And grow. Tracy and I came out here really just to be in LA for 3 months for pilot season, and ended up, never leaving.
Barry Hines had an apartment building in Sherman Oaks that he was the manager of.
And in this apartment building, there was a vacant apartment.
It was the first reading was at this empty apartment. Barry asked myself, some other people to just come over and read a play.
What would be really cool, being in a new place, is to call up all these people I knew in New York and other actors I'd heard about also in regional theaters and so forth, and knowing that these people were in LA, and get a hold of them and see if they were interested in maybe getting together in this apartment and doing some readings.
And we all sat on the floor in an empty apartment, and his wife made chocolate chip cookies and put them on a little plate in the middle.
And we didn't have an audience at this time.
No, this
we
was
weren't
just-
doing it for. We
it
were
was-
doing it for ourselves.
We
at
were
the
doing it for
beginning.
fun.
We absolutely were, and for community, and
Try something on.
We said, well, that was fun. Want to do it again next week? Let's do a different play.
Every week I would call people with scripts and say, come over to the apartment and you're reading this and you're reading that.
It always came from who wants to do what, and that has maintained. I think that's really a lot of the spirit of Interact is, what do you want to do?
It was fun, it was exciting, and it was great to connect to people. And which is really how the name Interact came about, was because, and I had a hard time selling that name, let me tell you.
Starting in April of 1990 is when it kind of got off the ground as a formal play reading kind of thing.
He started talking about if we could find a
Wouldn't it be
space.
great
Wouldn't it
if-
be great if we could find a space? Who's on board? And pretty much everyone, if we could, of course, sure, let's. And he started looking.
I got myself over to this little theater over way out in North Hollywood on Hart Street.
And the reason it was called Theater Exchange by the owners at that time was that it originally was, when it was a round, full building, it was a real livestock exchange.
And we rented it for all of $986 a month.
Now I had to sell that to this group of struggling artists in this apartment. And, obviously there was rent to be paid.
Had to have 30 people to evenly divide it up and make it $25 a month affordable, which gave us a few dollars more over and above the actual rent.
We got our 30 people after a few arm twistings, and we decided we're going to rent this space, Theater Exchange.
As long as we don't turn the lights on or use the bathrooms.
That's right.
There was a payphone in the lobby, no phone
right.
in the building, but we could use it.
Yeah.
We became Interact, an Actors Collective.
And by the time that came to pass, and we said, yeah, we'll sign the lease, everybody was casting their own plays on a weekly basis. Now, the play readings were sort of they were the nexus of Interact. They were what it was really all about at that point, and it was meeting that once a week. It was a fellowship of sorts,
I had never had such creative freedom and challenging and provocative and informative.
I felt it was my grad school without having to write the papers.
The thing I saw and what I heard were people sitting around in chairs, holding scripts, reading plays, and giving some of the best performances I had ever seen in New York and in LA, and I mean that.
And that was like a religion. You would go there like it was mass, whether or not you were in the play.
At the time, going from even doing those readings in that small apartment to going into the wonderful small theater space that was so intimate
when you were in this space, there was a magic in that room. There was an absolute magic in that room.
There was just something that was inviting about it.
When you work with people and you see them in their underwear, there's a certain kinship that happens.
Really, failure was okay, where you could take a script and think about it, doing it a certain way that you might not ordinarily want to do it, maybe, but say, I'm going to do it this way, and just do it. Do the whole 2 hours like that, you know? And more often than not, it was magical.
You knew you could call anybody on the list, and that, you know, that if they could show up, that you'd get to act with really good actors.
And then the first approved company production was a project of Jimmy Gleason's, Under Milkwood.
The first big Interact production that Jimmy Gleason directed and Marilyn and Jim were the producers of.
Peter Zapp had just done a production of a couple of 3 shows that he was sort of the star of. And I said, yeah, I think it would be really nice to involve all of the actors here.
And I was so blown away, I kept thinking that if I wasn't careful, if I leaned back, the whole building would go back. Because the room, the space was so full of poetry.
It was very clear that these people knew how to play character, they knew how to use language, and that this was really a great and important play that we were reading.
I still can't believe that we fit that many people in big costumes and all backstage, and
You're so close, it's like being in their living room. And I'm sure that made a big difference in the storytelling.
I'm always amazed when I look at the full cast picture of Counselor at Law. It's a little, I think, oh my God, this is like the clowns coming out of the Volkswagen.
Just then I got an offer to play this wonderful role in this play that I'd never read called Counselor at Law in Williamstown, Massachusetts. I didn't. I said no to them, but then I was sad. And then I said, wait a minute, I can do this as a Monday night reading at Interact.
We'll do a reading of it and we'll show everybody how great it is and how they all have parts, and then we'll do it.
I think that perhaps the thing that made Interact so unique for me was that they would tackle these huge pieces of material, you know, like Counsel Law, I don't know, there's like 30 characters in it.
You know, I'm just amazed. We went on for months and months and months. It was a hot ticket. It was during the O.J. Simpson trial.
And I remember all kinds of celebrities coming to Counselor especially and saying that they were knocked out by the quality of the work, that it was so rare to see something like that, with a cast of thousands, and each and every person had defined this little jewel of a character.
the Los Angeles District Attorney actually sat on the steps for Counselor at Law because we were sold out and it was the closing weekend and he really wanted to see it.
I called John and he said, we don't even have room on the floor. It was that popular, which is wonderful.
But that was Interact's big shining moment where it got a lot of attention.
And we'd been in negotiations to buy the building, and then
we had a whole campaign of
we
sending
had the
out
money to do it, and we realized that it was actually zoned residential, and so there were all kinds of things that suddenly became concerns of the board.
So Bachman was incredible. It was, clearly built from the floor up.
We moved in and into a big empty space, and immediately had to turn around and start spending money to improve the bathroom situation, and then we had to get risers, and then we had to kind of soundproof it.
Oh my God, the transformation. I was in there the day that Dan Curran walked it for footage, when it was a blank space with a toilet, actually, or just pipes.
The pipes and the toilet sitting in the
center of the space, of a blank warehouse space.
We were in a part of town that was starting to become a theater part of town.
If you're going to be in the Valley, that was the area to go to.
So I was really part of this new generation that was brought in that theater, and being in that theater was a huge part of what it meant to be a member of Interact. It was that was our clubhouse, and it was literally a minute away from where I lived, so I was always at our clubhouse.
I was excited to find a company that was doing really good, exciting, raw actors theater.
Everyone was always so committed to the art and to the work and just having a good time as well. Support, constant support there.
It was the culmination of years of hard work getting up to that point, because there was such a contagious energy with the whole company. They kept producing and producing and producing, and the productions were great, so they got to produce some more.
I was just so unbelievably astounded that I'd found a theater company that not only did good shows, but were good people and knew what they were doing, and they were equity actors, but they weren't being divas, and I was just like, what?
Whether it was a reading, whether it was an interactivity piece, or a full-on production, people brought the same amount of energy, and that's what I needed.
I can't even remember everything that we did. So many of the readings were so good that I have them in my mind as performances, you know.
The quality of the work on stage was the thing that seemed to be the leading interest of the company, and I liked that. And I thought that would be fun to be a part of.
And this was truly the beginning of a community.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Interactivity Festival is a brilliant festival. So many plays in a short period of time. If you're acting in them or directing them, you get to immerse yourself in it for a very fast, short period of time, and you store that.
You're in the middle of somebody's obsession, somebody's part of something, and they've noticed a play and they say, we haven't seen this play for a long time, let's do that.
And it's just probably the last step before a full production when you're in the rehearsal process.
It's a real festival of art because you don't know what you're going to get. It could be a full-on production. It could be people just standing there with scripts. It could be people sitting there. You don't know.
You can go as far with this in terms of those two performances and what you want to accomplish, or it can be a staged reading that you've worked on, you know, for 4 hours of rehearsal.
Your craft just grows and becomes so flexible and alive.
That's what I thought it was. You know, it's like a bunch of actors at an attic and the audience gets to watch.
The experience was sometimes so intense, and the amount of work put in such a condensed amount of time was sometimes so memorable that it feels like a production, a full production, and certainly we were not the only ones who forgot that we had scripts in our hands.
I would say Interplay is a tremendous program and very beneficial to kids who otherwise would have no access to theater or what theater is about.
Pretty soon the kids were knocking on the door all the time, and you know, one of them wanted to come in and said, he's Claudio, who was, looked around, he said, what is this? And I said, this is a theater. He said, can I come in? And I said, where do you live? He said, I live next door. He said, well, we want to come here. We want to do, you know, we want to act too. Okay, I said, let's just do this for a couple of weeks. You know, the kids will get tired of it. So then the next Saturday, there were 15 people. Oh, we're going to come back next week. Okay. And the next week, there were over 20. And it got up to about 30 kids in a month.
I thought the people in the neighborhood really looked forward to Interplay every summer, because that spoke to that neighborhood.
So to me, Interact is about the mentoring. It's the spirit of the mentor and that artistic flame that we kind of pass from one generation to the next, and the impact that we have on the greater community. The greater community is looking to us.
If the little ducks watch the big ducks shoot heroin, then that's what they do. But if the little ducks watch the big ducks write poetry, then that's what they do. So it's been great to be around the little ducks.
The company is now at the NoHo Arts Center and getting ready to go into another production, as they are wont to do.
Doing a production anywhere, anytime, gives you hope. It gives me hope that Interact is still going strong because we're doing what it is that we want to do.
I am just incredibly proud of what has happened to this company in the last few years.
Interact is a classy, classic company. We really came together to make art together.
And I would encourage anybody to when they get the chance to don't walk but run, and see as much great theater as you can, because it will change your idea about what people are capable of.
And the projects that we choose are packed with stuff that's just really fun to act. And I think that does give us an edge in a way on other companies.
The injection of this infectious attitude that's already there gets carried forward by the new members, and so I think that's how they're able to go.
Is that it really was a sense of community in a town that does not promote that.
To see us handle so many ups and downs, losing our space and not having a home, and still existing because of how much we love to work together and how much we love theater.
I love actors. I think that, they are caring, compassionate people, and I think that's inherent in being an actor because you care about humans, and that's why you're interested in playing roles and learning why people do certain things.
That particular group and that energy and commitment that we had at that time of making things happen is, I don't know whether I'll ever be able to do that again with other people.
Because it's a sacrifice to be a member of Interact. You sacrifice your time, your money. Some people sacrifice all of their time.
A democracy takes a lot of work, but the payoff is so worth it.
If we can get through that and this period, as we seem to be, the prospects to me look very good. That in 20 years, it won't be us anymore, or maybe some of you younger people, but it'll be a group of, the people who are really driving and inspiring and running the country are not us old guard guys who were here 20 years ago. We come in and out and play some fun parts. But the people really running this are people who weren't here.
Interact is an important part of the artistic scene, and the city that gets us eventually is going to reap the benefits of that.
I can say that Interact has been the most important thing in my creative life.
And what all of this was supposed to be about, and it is, I think to this day, is a place for actors to be able to experiment, to exercise. It was meant to be a playground.
I feel that Interact is a barnacle on the ship of life. And that it'll always be there, and no matter how anybody tries to scrape it off, it's gonna stick.
But the people in the company were really pros. And so you had to lift yourself up every moment.
We're trained in theater. We're not always the most handsome, myself excluded, of course.
One wants to be in a company with actors who challenge you, who are either as good as you or better than you, so that you can raise your abilities.
I think that's really what Interact has to offer, is the professionalism and the quality of all the actors, down to the smallest roles.
You go to an Interact play and you see living, breathing characters, actors who know how to take the text and bring it to life so that you're seeing real people.
The real fiber of it was the ensemble, the fact that the strength of everybody, there were no weak links.
We can take anything, whether it's classical, musical, contemporary, whatever it is, absurdist, and we're going to hit it, at 150% because of the caliber of the acting ensemble.
I've been in a lot of plays that I've enjoyed and felt very good about, where I don't stand in the wings and say, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be doing this, but I sure did there.
This theater, to me, has been a really wonderful opportunity for me to grow older and as an artist.
And so I think that in the next 20 years, as the American experience changes, the Interact Theater Company's mission will adapt to that change.
I don't think the company ever came close to disintegrating. One way or the other,
was held together. It's a family.
I think this is one of the most gifted and generous groups of actors I have ever come in contact with. And I hope that comes across when we do our productions. I hope that sense of family and compassion radiates out into the audience.
We have all different kinds of people and people who can play all different kinds of parts and from different backgrounds and experience, and but a great community of actors. That's what I would say about Interact.
The people who run this company and who are on stage are doing it solely because they love theater.
People have come and gone. People that I never expected, you know, they suddenly married, they started having children. Suddenly their experience had to change. They had to move east, they had to move west, they had to go somewhere and do things. People have passed away. And I'm beginning to realize the value in my life has been an ongoing one of a life in the theater.
Interact, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary to Interact.
Happy anniversary, Interact.
Happy anniversary, Interact.
Let's do it again. Happy 20th anniversary.
20 fantastic years.
Happy 20th anniversary.
Interact Theater Company, happy 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary.
I remember when you were very young.
Happy anniversary, Interact.
Happy 20th, Interact.
To the best theater company in Los Angeles.
I think that you've touched my life, and I thank you.
Happy 20th anniversary, Interact.
May you have 100 more.
Happy 20th anniversary, Interact Theater Company.
Happy anniversary.
Happy 20th anniversary, Interact.
20 years we've had the drought.
Oh my God, you're 20, you look fabulous.
I will always hold you in my heart and miss you forever.
Happy 20th anniversary.
Good luck with the next 20.
I wish you a long life.
Happy 20th anniversary, Interact.
Keep exploring and keep growing.